Hi, Gerhard Bloom. Once again, looking at the tyranny and the delusions of the social justice movement. So I would like to look at, Frantz Fanon's Wretched of the Earth, this third worldism relationship to the Nashville killings, Hamas, and BLM, and this oppression narrative. Okay, let's start with the Nashville shooter. So people have been clamoring to get the release of the Nashville shooter's manifesto. And no, the mayor refused, the police investigating this have refused. Now, if this had been a white man going into a black school and killing people, that manifesto would have been released. This is SOP, standard operating procedure, because the public has a right to know. There's a public interest in releasing this, but oh no, you can't handle the truth. Can't handle the truth. Well, fortunately, several pages of this manifesto were released to the public. This is where this third worldism comes in. Virulently anti-white. She's obviously internalized that message that, whiteness is toxic, it's evil, cancel whiteness. So she took this to heart, right? She wanted to kill little kids, did so explicitly. This is her. Want to kill you little C words. She's talking about elementary school kids, innocent elementary school kids. What role have they played in systemic oppression? They're not working. They don't have any positions of authority and power. Bunch of little fuckers with your white privileges. Fuck you fuckers. She's speaking again, little kids, right? Little kids. By the way, she was a previous student at this institution. So if the tables had been turned, she could have been a little kid there, and somebody else with this internalized racist nonsense could have been gunning after her. And these poor little kids, in the wake of this trauma and tragedy, needless to say, lifelong, mental health issues, right? Lifelong. Because little kids don't expect adults, particularly women, whether they pretend to be men or not. Yes, a trans man, so a woman, gunning down little kids in cold blood, stalking them through the hallways. Much like those Hamas murderers going across the border, slaughtering innocent women and children. Same kind of, remorselessness and, just malevolent hatred. Although Hamas, no, it's not this, whiteness is evil business. They hate Jews, right? This is from the Quran and Muhammad, right? This is their ideology. But so she's internalized this poisonous nonsense, as has, and of course, blacks in the United States, they've embraced this. Frantz Fanon came out, decades ago, I believe in the late 1960s, perhaps 1970s, Wretched of the Earth, right? Where he discusses, the need for violent overthrow and, liberation, basically this whole by any means necessary and revolutions are violence and decolonialism, calls for violence, bloodletting, and Jean-Paul Sartre, right, the famous existentialist, basically you grow into your courage by this, festival of slaughter. This is, Jean-Paul Sartre's introduction to Frantz Fanon's work. And yes, you have this stuff being celebrated. You have a university professor in the wake of the Hamas atrocities. What did you think decolonization looked like? Well, I didn't think it looked like the slaughter of babies in cribs. No. At any rate, so the black world, they see themselves as colonized, right? Colonized in the United States, although you got a black president, 2 times in office, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Colin Powell, Secretary of State, Colin Powell, once again. But, they're colonized. Oprah Winfrey, she's a billionaire, but colonized. LeBron James, billionaire, no, colonized. Absolute poisonous nonsense. We see where this leads. You have this pitiless cheering. Another university professor, when he heard about the slaughter of these innocent civilians in Gaza, thought it was absolutely exhilarating. This ideology is poisonous and it's nonsense. Nonsense. I discussed, this colonialism nonsense. There are a broad number of countries after decolonization, civil wars, corruption, GDPs plummeting. India, democratic socialism, kept itself in poverty for decade after decade after decade. Since reversed course, embracing free markets, although they still have a problem with the caste system. But at any rate, lifting millions of people out of poverty. China, same thing. They've got a mercantilist system, government managed and controlled, but embracing what measure of capitalism it has, lifted millions of people out of abject poverty. And Singapore's got absolutely nothing there, almost nothing for natural resources, turned itself into a very rich, prosperous nation. Hong Kong, same thing. Nothing around there, right? It was basically a fishing village and a trading outpost and became an economic center of the world. Although China undoubtedly will ruin that, cook the goose that laid the golden egg there. We'll see. But at any rate, there is no reason why Gaza couldn't be the Singapore of the Mediterranean, other than the fact that Hamas, and it says so explicitly, it is not concerned about building up infrastructure and improving the lives and the economy. No, it wants to wage jihad. It wants to wipe Israel off the map. Could not care less about the public. And here in North America and Western Europe, this embrace of this third worldism, it is nonsense. Israel is not, oppressing the Palestinians in Gaza or the West Bank. Yes, there's checkpoints in the West Bank because they need to keep their citizens safe from suicide bombers and knifings and all that sort of thing. If they stopped the attack, if they had neighbors like, say, Canadians, do you think there would be the same security protocols? Absolutely not. They do what they do out of necessity. And Jews are white. Jews are white. I don't give a fuck what color they are. Ethiopian Jews are not white. They're black. And Israel welcomed them in, right? Not oppressing black people at all. Oh, here's an interesting fact. Recent surveys suggest that the Palestinian or the Arab Israelis, they're 100% behind. A significant majority are 100% behind Israel. They don't want this Hamas nonsense. They don't want this poisonous, toxic ideology affecting Israel. They are behind Israel. That's right, Arab Israelis. The vast majority, I think something like 70 to 80% of them behind Israel. They don't want this poisonous nonsense. They know they have it good. They know the economy, the freedoms, the rights that they have. You don't have those rights being governed by Fatah in the West Bank or Hamas in Gaza. You protest Fatah or Hamas, that gets you killed. You're gay in West Bank or Gaza, that gets you killed, right? So no, this third worldism is nonsense. What's keeping the third world poor, and thankfully more and more countries in the third world are embracing free markets. This welfare dependency, this international aid does absolutely nothing. It supports brutal dictatorships, corruption. You send some dictator billions of dollars, he gives it off to his cronies in the military and keeps everybody poor. You get investments in these countries. The companies that are investing, they want to see a profit. That means you provide something the world wants, and the world rewards you by giving you money, right? Like Larry Elder says, certificates of appreciation. That's what dollar bills are, certificates of appreciation. You say you get jihad, right? Terrorism. No, the world should not be sending you certificates of appreciation, contrary to Biden, right? Donald Trump, he had cut off aid to the Palestinians because, like everybody else who studied the picture, knew that a significant portion of these funds were being diverted into terrorism. Biden gets into office, he is warned by the State Department that significant portion of these funds will go to fund terrorism. He reverses Donald Trump's policy. And so you have funding, taxpayer funding, millions of dollars, taxpayer funding going to support terrorism. You know, those Hamas murderers, their families get money from Hamas, which means international donor money, because Hamas isn't out making money. It doesn't have any industries or products that anybody wants to buy. No, this third worldism, yes. The school shooter in Nashville, the black guy in Waukesha driving his SUV into a parade of grandmothers and little kids, a Christmas parade, third worldism, right? Black people embracing this ideology, white people like the school shooter, and these leftists protesting in support of Hamas. Third worldism, the wretched of the earth. They're wretched moral scum. And I refuse. Je refuse, right? No. Anyways, thanks so much for time and attention. If you like the video, drop a thumbs up. Gratifies my fragile male ego. And please do check out my book, Deconstructing Social Justice. I deconstruct social justice. It's poisonous. It's toxic ideology. Thanks so much for your time and attention. Bye-bye now.